I was standing in the middle of my own graduation party, holding a paper plate with a slice of chocolate cake, when my aunt's voice cut through the music like a knife. "You'll never succeed." The words landed so hard, it felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Laughter stopped. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Even the background playlist seemed quieter, as if the speakers themselves were stunned. I turned toward her, my smile still half-formed from thanking someone for a gift. She stood by the drinks table, her arms crossed, chin slightly lifted, eyes locked on me like I'd just committed some unforgivable crime. I could feel the weight of everyone's stares pressing into my back: family, friends, my professors, and people I hadn't seen in years. In that split second, my mind scrambled for answers. Was she joking? Was this some strange, twisted attempt at humor? But there was nothing playful in her face. Her mouth was a tight line, her jaw tense. Someone cleared their throat. A child whispered to their mom. And I just stood there, gripping my plate so hard I thought it might crack. The last thing I had expected on one of the happiest days of my life was to be humiliated in front of everyone. What made it worse? I had no idea what I'd done to deserve it, or what she was about to reveal that would change the way my whole family saw me. The day had started out perfectly, the kind of day you dream about when you're a kid imagining what it'll be like to finally make it. It was warm but not sweltering, with a soft breeze carrying the smell of my mom's famous barbecue ribs through the backyard. White tents were set up to shade the long tables covered in colorful tablecloths. Balloons in my school colors swayed lazily in the corners, and a giant "Congrats" banner stretched across the fence. I'd just graduated with a degree in business administration, the first in my immediate family to earn a university degree. My parents were beaming, my little brother kept snapping pictures of me like he was my personal paparazzi, and every relative seemed genuinely proud. Well, almost every relative. My Aunt Valerie had been there since the morning, sitting at the far end of the table while everyone else helped set up. She wasn't exactly unfriendly, but she had this way of speaking that always felt like she was looking for something to criticize. I'd learned to brush it off over the years. Growing up, she and my mom had a complicated relationship. Valerie was the older sister, fiercely independent, proud, and a little bit competitive. My mom told me once that Valerie had wanted to go to college too, but life took her in a different direction. I didn't ask for details, but I'd always sensed a shadow of bitterness in the way she talked about education, careers, and, well, me. Still, I'd made a point to be polite with her, to share updates about my classes, and to never brag. I thought we'd reached some unspoken truce. Before her outburst, the day had been filled with laughter, congratulations, and speeches from family friends. My dad even told an embarrassing story about me learning to ride a bike, the kind of warm, nostalgic moments that make you feel loved. I'd been moving from table to table, thanking people for coming, when I caught Aunt Valerie watching me. Her eyes followed me like she was measuring each smile, each word. I remember thinking, she's unusually quiet today. I had no idea that quiet was the build-up to the most public, cutting sentence she would ever throw at me. And in her mind, she wasn't just trying to embarrass me, she was about to expose something she believed everyone needed to hear. The moment after her words sliced through the air, my first instinct was to laugh it off, to make some awkward joke that would dissolve the tension. But before I could open my mouth, Aunt Valerie took a step forward, her heels clicking against the wooden deck like a drumroll for disaster. "You all act like she's some kind of miracle," she said, her voice carrying effortlessly over the crowd. "But none of you know the truth." The phrase sent a ripple through the guests. People exchanged glances. My dad's jaw tightened, and my mom's hand went straight to her necklace, her tell whenever she was nervous. "What truth, Valerie?" my mom asked, her voice sharp but still trying to keep things civil. Valerie tilted her head, her lips curling into something between a smirk and a sneer. "The truth that success isn't just about waving a diploma in everyone's face. She hasn't faced the real world yet. And when she does," she paused, scanning the crowd like she was building suspense for a sold-out show. "She'll fail. Just like before." Before? My stomach sank. What before was she talking about? I tried to keep my voice steady. I don't know what you mean. Oh, don't you? She shot back. Should I tell them about the internship? The one you couldn't even finish? Heat rushed to my face. I'd told only a handful of people about that summer, the one where things had gone so wrong I'd left early. It wasn't my proudest moment, but I'd learned from it. I didn't think it defined me. Now, here she was, dangling it in front of my entire family like proof that my degree was just a shiny piece of paper masking a failure. The room, or rather, the backyard, felt smaller, the air heavier. My mind raced, but my heart pounded louder than any thought I could form. And it hit me, this wasn't just a slip of the tongue. Valerie had been waiting for this moment. Waiting for an audience. And I had no idea just how far she was willing to go to make her point. The silence that followed felt like a living thing, stretching, pressing, making my chest tight. I could feel every pair of eyes darting between me and Aunt Valerie, as if the party had suddenly turned into a courtroom drama and they were the jury. My mom was the first to move, setting down her drink with a sharp clink. "Valerie, this is neither the time nor the place," she said, her voice laced with warning. "Oh, I think it's exactly the time," Valerie replied smoothly, folding her arms. "Everyone's here, celebrating her success. Shouldn't they also know the whole picture?" A few cousins shifted uncomfortably in their seats. My dad's best friend, Mr. Harris, whispered something under his breath. And there I stood, frozen, feeling like my skin was 2 sizes too small. The internship. It had been my first big opportunity in my field, a chance to prove myself at a respected firm. But things had gone wrong fast. A project I was assigned to had spiraled out of control, deadlines were missed, and although it wasn't entirely my fault, I'd been the one left holding the blame. I left 2 months early, humiliated and unsure if I even belonged in the business world. But that was a year ago. I had worked hard since then, taken extra courses, and graduated with honors. That setback was a scar, not a sentence. Still, hearing her bring it up now made my cheeks burn. "Valerie," my dad said, his voice like steel, "drop it." "Why?" she countered. "So she can keep pretending she's perfect? The real world doesn't hand out trophies for showing up. She'll crumble the first time she's under real pressure." It was subtle, but I noticed, she wasn't even looking at me anymore. She was looking at my parents. Like she wanted to hurt them through me. That realization made my throat tighten. I could see the younger kids fidgeting, sensing the tension without understanding it. The adults avoided eye contact, some pretending to check their phones. The music had stopped completely now. The celebration was gone, replaced with the thick, buzzing quiet of a storm that hasn't yet broken. And deep down, I knew she wasn't finished. She hadn't gotten to the part she really wanted to say, the one that would cut deeper than anything so far. Valerie took a slow sip from her glass, like she was savoring the tension she'd created. Then she set it down and leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping just enough to make people lean in. "You all think she's the golden child," she said. "But she wouldn't even have that degree if it weren't for me." A murmur rippled through the crowd. My eyes widened. "What?" She straightened her shoulders. "I'm the one who paid for her second semester after she messed up the first. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want to embarrass her, but clearly, that was a mistake." I felt the ground tilt beneath me. She wasn't lying, at least, not entirely. My first semester had been rough. I was juggling 2 part-time jobs, trying to keep my grades up, and I'd fallen behind on tuition payments. She had loaned me the money, and I'd paid her back in full over the next year. But now, the way she said it, she made it sound like I owed her my entire degree, my entire success. My mom stood up. "That was a private family matter," she said firmly. Valerie's eyes flashed. "Private? Or just something you didn't want everyone to know?" I think they deserve to hear the truth about their so-called role model. Gasps, whispers, eyes darting back to me. My chest was pounding, my palms damp. Part of me wanted to yell, to set the record straight. Another part wanted to disappear entirely. And as I looked around, at my friends from school, at the kids in my family who'd been looking up to me, I realized this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the story that would stick. So, here's my question to you. If someone you trusted decided to drag your most vulnerable moments into the spotlight, twisting them for their own satisfaction, would you stay silent to keep the peace, or fight back, knowing it could shatter your family in the process? I set my plate down on the nearest table. My hands were shaking, but my voice came out steady, sharper than I expected. You know what, Aunt Valerie? You're right about one thing, I did mess up. I've never claimed to be perfect. But what you're doing right now isn't about telling the truth. It's about making yourself feel powerful. A few people murmured in agreement. My mom's hand rested on my dad's arm, stopping him from stepping in. She knew this was my moment. Valerie's smile was thin. Powerful? No. I'm trying to prepare you. Life isn't all applause and cake. Preparing me? I stepped closer. Is humiliating me in front of everyone your idea of preparation? You could have pulled me aside. You could have had a real conversation. But instead, you waited until you had an audience. Her gaze wavered for just a second before she straightened. I just don't want you thinking a piece of paper means you've made it. And I don't want you thinking a single failure defines me, I shot back. My voice rose with each word. Yes, you helped me once, and I paid you back. But that's not the whole story. The rest of it? That's my work. My late nights. My sacrifices. My choice to keep going when it would have been easier to quit. A quiet "that's right" came from somewhere in the crowd. My heart was hammering, but the knot in my chest started to loosen. I've learned more from the moments I stumbled than from the ones I got right, I continued. And maybe that's why I'll succeed, because I'm not afraid to admit when I've fallen, and I'm not afraid to stand back up. For a moment, Valerie didn't respond. She just pressed her lips together, scanning the faces around her. And that's when I realized the power she thought she had? It was slipping away. The silence now felt different, less suffocating, more like a collective exhale. My dad finally stepped forward, placing a hand on my shoulder. I think we've heard enough, he said. Valerie reached for her purse, muttering something I couldn't catch, and walked toward the gate without another word. The celebration didn't pick up right away. But in that quiet, I knew I'd done something more important than defend my degree. I'd defended myself. The backyard felt strangely calm after she left, like the storm had passed but the air was still charged. People lingered in small groups, speaking in hushed voices, stealing glances at me as if they weren't sure whether to approach or give me space. My mom came over first, wrapping me in a hug so tight it almost broke me. I'm proud of you, she whispered. Not just for today, for how you handled yourself. My dad nodded, his hand still resting on my shoulder. You kept your dignity. That's more than most could have done. Slowly, relatives began to come up, cousins, family friends, even Mr. Harris, each offering quiet words of support. Some of them admitted they'd had their own Aunt Valerie moments in life, where someone tried to dim their light just as they were starting to shine. I realized then that this wasn't just my battle. It was a shared experience, one a lot of people understood more than they let on. The music eventually started again, and while the energy wasn't quite the same as before, it was warmer. More genuine. People weren't just celebrating my degree anymore, they were celebrating my resilience. I spent the rest of the afternoon laughing with my friends, taking photos, and trying to lock away the memory of that earlier humiliation, not as a wound, but as proof that I could weather worse. When the sun began to set, I looked around at the tables, the half-empty plates, the smiling faces, and thought, this is what really matters. Not the criticism. Not the public drama. But the people who stay after the storm, ready to keep the party going with you. Ask ChatGPT. That night, long after the last guest had left and the backyard lights had gone dark, I sat alone with a slice of leftover cake. The day had been nothing like I'd imagined. I thought my graduation party would be remembered for speeches and laughter, not for a public challenge to my worth. But as I replayed it all, something clicked. Success isn't just the shiny moments people post online. It's also the messy, uncomfortable moments when you're forced to stand your ground. It's the ability to face someone who doubts you, even if that someone is family, and say, "I believe in me," even if you don't. I realized Aunt Valerie's outburst didn't define my future. If anything, it reminded me that not everyone will clap for you, and that's okay. Your worth isn't measured by their applause. So now, I want to hear from you. If you were in my shoes, standing in front of family and friends while someone tried to tear you down, would you fight back in the moment, or walk away and protect your peace? Tell me in the comments, because I think a lot of us have faced our own Aunt Valerie before.